Coach, give me your overall view of the whole team right now, where they're at.
I think we got a lot of depth. I think we're old and pretty veteran on defense, really savvy in the secondary. I think they've given us a lot of great looks. Just a lot of veteran guys on defense. I think offensively, we've got weapons, whether it's out at receiver or I think the tight end room is deep. We've got guys that can play on Saturday. Haven't played much on Saturday, but I think they're going to play well. We got some talented running backs. K-State's always had a really good O-line, and I don't see this year being any different. So I see a team that's got really good depth compared to some Big 12 teams that I've been around the last 5 years, and man, we've got some good areas of competitive depth and some competitive battles that I think they're important for each guy to kind of raise his level and continue to improve because of that depth. And I think hopefully that'll show up in October and November when you have some injuries or sometimes like that we're going to need that depth to show up.
Last week we talked to defensive players. They were pretty happy with the amount of turnovers they're causing in practice.
Well, I think you talked to them on the right day. That is my opinion on that. You talked to them on the right day. Certainly there's been great give and take, which I think is what you want from an overall aspect of the team. But I think we've been pretty stingy with the ball, and our quarterbacks have done a good job with that in camp. There was like 2 days in a row where we did not do a very good job of taking care of the ball and making good decisions, and they capitalized, which a good defense will, and I certainly think that was the day you talked to them.
Okay, give me your overview of where Avery Johnson's at right now.
Yeah, continues to improve. He's got a hunger and a desire to improve. I think just challenging him every day is important to him and his growth. He is electric with the ball in his hands. I mean, he is uber talented out in space. He's throwing the ball well. So I think, for Avery, it's been important to get a multitude of looks. And we certainly get that from our defense daily, from pressure to drop 8 and all the things that he needs to see. And so I think that's challenging him. And then certainly there's going to be the season challenge that goes from game to game, and week to week from different structures. There's going to be a soreness factor. There's going to be just the grind of the season that he's going to get to go through, as the starter for the first time. So, but I'm proud of him, and I'm excited to coach him, and he'll have a really good year.
Where do you think he's shown the most growth in this month of camp?
I think, when you talk about physically, he's done a good job with his pocket movement. It's been something that's been big for us to move in the pocket. You don't just stand there and stand still. It's not 7-on-7. That's why I hate that drill. But moving and staying in a position to be able to throw the ball quickly and getting his feet in the ground, his cleats in the grass, I think that's been one of the things that we've focused on. I think just mentally, and I've said it, already here today, but just seeing so many looks and being able to progress through a read and process everything really, really fast. I think I've seen improvement in that.
It's a pretty competitive quarterback battle at the moment. Where do you see that between Roberson and Knuth?
Yeah, been really good battle between Jacob and Taekwon. Those two guys continue to get better. I think it's been healthy. It's been great. The biggest thing for them is to be the best version of themselves. It's not a competition per se against the other guy. It's how can I make myself better today, and stack great days on top of each other. Those are two guys that they have gotten a ton of reps. Coach Kleiman gives us all these double reps, and where we got 2 fields going, they have had, over 400 snaps in training camp. And so I think that's accelerated the growth between those guys. But that'll be a battle that's ongoing. I don't know when, that'll get decided, and it may be ongoing throughout the season, to be honest with you, and I'm glad we got them both.
Are the guys still having their cram sessions inside your office?
Yeah, not as much. We've moved to the offensive staff room.
What do they do during those meetings when they're just kind of watching tape? Do you have specific things that you like for them to do
During the meeting?
I mean, when they're just kind of looking at film?
Well, yeah, we're coming out of training camp, so right now we probably meet 3 times a day, or have been in that mode, hour and a half to 2 hours each time. And so whether it's going through scripts, it's going through practice video, it's going through, now some opponent video, myself, I'm in there, Coach Kleiman's in there, and just the different facets of a meeting. And you don't just watch the same thing for 2 hours. So, I think that's kind of what those meetings consist of.
We'd spoken before camp. Now you're here. You've been around some very fine quarterbacks in the past. I'm just curious if you see Avery have that it factor.
Yeah, he's got it. I see it every day. I mean, he's a very natural leader. He's a very natural starting quarterback. I think that comes easy to him, to be honest with you. The biggest thing for him is focusing on his improvement. I think there's a lot of facets of leadership. Production is certainly up there really, really high. You can't lead unless you produce in a lot of ways. Now, you can lead in different ways, but when you're the starting quarterback, you need to produce. And then it's the verbal leadership, your work ethic, along with that production, and I think that he knows that. But, yeah, he's absolutely got that factor.
This house clean really quick. What day of practice is this?
I don't know. What is today?
Monday.
Oh, today's Monday. Maybe 17, 18. I don't know.
Okay. And then how much further do you go with this training camp before it's over?
Well, I think, maybe technically it's over because school started today. Is that what you're asking? Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So we're into afternoon practices now. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're off today because of the first day of class. Yeah.
Matt, are there any 1 or 2 things you really wanted to bring to this offense, and do you think you've left your fingerprints on the new offense in any way?
Well, I think, first of all, you come in and there's been so much successful parts of the offense before I ever got here. I mean, this offense was second in the Big 12 in scoring last year, and it certainly ran the ball at a really high level. And so you've got different facets of the offense, whether it's the run game or it's QB run game, and then you get into, parts of the passing game. And I think that's, where some things maybe have been tweaked just a little bit. But, overall, a lot of it will be the same. And I think, maybe some of those things will come out once we get into season. Everybody can see that.
Wide receivers who've impressed you more than the others in training camp?
No, not really. I think we've got a good group there. Keegan and Cephas and Jace. And then you got J-Jack, you got Trey Spivey. Sterling Lockett's had a really, really good camp. He continues to impress. He's playing fast. He's playing really fast. But all 6 of those guys. Tybo's had some good days. You'll see a lot. I think we'll play a lot of those guys. And I think that's healthy. I think it keeps them fresher. I think it helps inspire during the week when you're installing things. And so you'll see a lot of those guys. We're not going to just play 2 or 3 all year. You'll see us play a lot.
I also wanted to ask, when we saw you practice, you were wearing the headset. I presume you're talking to Avery before plays and whatnot. What are some things you found yourself being able to relay to Avery that can be advantageous that you haven't been able to say before?
Yeah, I think focusing a lot on just kind of before the play and maybe really quick after the play, but not getting in his ear, so to speak, to where it paralyzes him. That's not what I want to do. And we've we worked it during camp quite a bit. I think just D&D reminders, 4 downs, you're in the red zone, clues to the play that we're calling or that's coming up, tips, reminders, if you will.
Have you guys pretty much said how your game day operation is going to be? Is Connor going to be upstairs? Are you actually going to be on the sideline?
Yeah, I will
how's
be.
that gonna work?
Yeah, and he'll be up.
And are you going to? How's that going to work? As far as have you figured out how to the whole communication as far as getting from? And I don't know what your involvement is to getting plays to Avery and so.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, just kind of like I was just mentioning, whether it's calling them in or we're signaling them in or a combination of both.
And Joe talked about with the defense that one thing that's really helped is that you guys have given him a lot of different looks. Is that something you feel like this offense has the versatility also to pretty much test any kind of defense?
Yeah, I do. And, referring back to my answer, maybe 5 minutes ago, I think we do a lot in our offense. I think it's multi-dimensional. I mean, whether it's going from 11 personnel or you're getting into 2 backs to 3 backs to 3 tight ends to 4 tight ends. I mean, we do a lot. Shift, motion, trade, playing fast, whatever. But I think from a general standpoint, going back to maybe my very first question that you asked about my overview of the team, that's something that maybe I didn't mention. But if you listen to me talk just about the defense and you talk about the offense, what you have is a very, very high football IQ program, and that starts at the top with Chris Kleiman, from our assistants to these players and their work ethic and how much they invest in football. We do a ton of stuff on offense and we do a ton of stuff on defense. And, I think the challenge for us as coaches is how do we simplify and keep it simple for the players so that young players can play and that they can play fast, but yet we're really complicated and we can cover up, alignments and cover up, this and that. And so we are multi-dimensional on both sides with all of those factors. So it makes a unique combination in trying to be really sophisticated on both sides, but yet keep it simple for our players, and that's a challenge. And when I say simple for the players, I mean to learn and to play fast. But yet when you watch us on tape, it's like, dang, they do a lot of stuff. And the reality is we really do on both sides of the ball.
Also, a lot of people are curious how Dylan's going to fit into the offense.
There's no curious. It's not real curious. It's not real hard either. He fits in everywhere.
Okay, I was wondering, has it been easy to integrate him in?
It's been fun. Yeah, sorry to cut you off. It's been fun. He's not real hard to game plan for. I mean, it's moving him around, and he can do a lot of stuff with the ball in his hands, whether it's in the return game and special teams or he's a very natural receiver. He's got great hands. And he's a high football IQ guy too. I mean, we do a lot of stuff with him, and he's picked it up, and really in a short amount of time, just getting here this summer. But he'll be a fun one to coach and to game plan for.
Coach, Jace Brown obviously has, last season benefited from having the, 7 games down the stretch where he was able to impress. Mm-hmm. How has he grown from, the end of last season to now, and what does he offer the offense?
Well, first of all, he offers a guy that's really confident in his abilities, and he's got a lot of ability. He's got a lot of talent. And Jace is a guy that is a guy that can play multiple spots. He can play in the slot. He can play outside. He's good with the ball in his hands. To me, he's he's a post-catch guy because he's really good post-catch. And so he's got speed to go over the top. He's got courage to go across the middle, and he blocks well. So, I'm sure Jace has gained confidence from his play as a true freshman last year at the end of the year. But to me, Jace should have gained confidence and should gain confidence from his play throughout training camp because it's been very consistent and at a high level.
You mentioned the post-catch sort of ability. Is he a sort of guy where you just have to try and find ways to get the ball in his hands
Yeah.
so that he can make plays like that?
Yeah, we got a lot of guys like that, but he's definitely a ball in hand kind of guy where whether it's touch game or it's perimeter game or it's down the field game, and he's got the ability to kind of do all of that. But we got a bunch of guys like that.
All right, Coach, I was going to just ask you, we've been talking a lot about battles and the depth on the team and competition. Do you anticipate any of those seeping into week one, seeing how they play on Saturday, or do you think we'll see those wrapped up in the next week or so?
I don't know. I'll let it play out. To me, that's not my call. That's a lot of that's players' calls. Whether it's not just the quarterback battle, but it's receiver rotations, it's tight end rotations, it's running back rotations. Shoot up on the O-line. Guys getting to play, multiple guys getting to play up on the O-line, and my guess is that it would go through the season, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, competition. Your performance matters. Being ready to play on that first Saturday against UT Martin, and showing what you can do. So, yeah, I think that's very natural that some of those go through the season and then roles get closer to getting defined. But I think that there are things that can change as the season goes too, based on performance.
Coach Kleiman's said you've thrown out a lot of ideas since the spring.
Good ideas?
Well, I can maybe ask you that question. Just kidding. No.
I didn't know where you were going with that.
The idea of going faster with more tempo. Obviously, at Tech, that was a big part. So would you like to see this offense move quicker, have more tempo than the last couple of years?
Well, I think this offense has had elements of that. And I think knowing when to push down on the gas and knowing when to let up is the art form in calling ball plays when you're in this kind of an offense. This is not an offense that's going to go pedal all the way down 80-90% of the game like I've been used to, whether it was at the last three stops, to be honest with you. But I think it's in knowing when to do it and when not to. And, I remember this offense playing fast at times in Norman 2 years ago, and it gave us fits lining up. And the reason is it was because it was so different from the huddle up and then the normal pace. So, that's something that I think gets dictated by each game, by how the game's going, and also how the defense is defending you and how they line up. So I think we have that element, which makes it harder to prepare for us, knowing when it's coming and when it's not.
Anything else?
With that speed and that, trying to go up tempo at times, how important is it to have, I guess, more than just 4 wide receivers who are capable of being on the field and making plays? And sort of how important is it to rotate those guys throughout just so, when you get to week 12 of the season, guys aren't exhausted?
Yeah. And to my point earlier, that does help as the year goes on. And it's not just receivers, it's tight ends and running backs too. We're going to play a lot in all 3 of those positions. We're going to play a lot because, number one, we have enough players that deserve to play on Saturday, and they've earned the right to play on Saturday. And when they do, you need to give them a chance to do that. And a lot of times the guys that start the game will actually play better down the stretch with less reps, if that makes sense. And the reason I say that is like as the year goes on and it builds, those are maybe some less game reps and some less practice reps, and therefore you have a fresher Keegan Johnson in the month of October and early November, and they're not worn out. But the bottom line is you're not playing those guys. You're not playing a ton of guys if they don't deserve to play and you don't have those players. We have those players. I mean, like I said, 6, 7, 8 receivers, and a handful of tight ends and running backs as well. Those guys need to earn more reps, but, we plan on playing a lot. So especially early in the year, Tulane week 2, the heat here, possibly here at home, game 1 and game 3. All those things are factors. But I do believe we're not just playing those guys. We're playing them because I think they've earned the right to play on Saturday.
Okay, one final one. I'm dating myself, but as a guy that has seen all the Lockets play, I'm fascinated by Sterling and just what you have seen from him that lets you know that he's ready for this.
I think with the absence of game film and game reps to prove my point, I would say based on 16, 17 practices right now in training camp, an improved Sterling Lockett from spring ball. And the way I see it is he's playing fast. So he knows his assignments better. He knows his alignments better. He knows his techniques in the route running better. And he's confident. I see a confident guy playing fast. When you're confident and you're prepared, you play fast. And it doesn't matter whatever your top-end speed is, he's playing closer to his top-end speed now than he was in the spring. I've seen a big improvement. And so I can't wait to watch him this fall. And so when you say what gives me confidence is just watching how fast he plays. That doesn't mean it's void without a mistake or a drop, because we're all human and those things happen. But man, he's playing fast, and so that's why I think that's why people are talking about him right now. And he's played well, and he's earned the right to play.